Welcome back to Empowerment Radio. How can you master your emotions? Well, I hope you already see your emotional body more clearly and you are more eager to have a conversation with your emotions, paying attention to them, since they are really a very important part of who we are, and they can really give us a lot of guidance on what we want, what doesn't work for us. Intuition is a part of the emotional landscape because it really feels something draws us in, which is a feeling, it's a sensation. And it may also say, no, don't go there. And that's, again, something more of a subtle emotional charge. Well, before the break, I talked about just putting a name on the emotion and not just leaving it with anxiety, anger, sadness, those big ones, but getting more specific so that you actually know a little bit more what the emotion tries to tell you. Because the emotion has a message. The emotion is not just some kind of, orchestra in your mind that plays music according to the story. It's really something that has a meaning in itself. Often emotions are, trying, especially those negative emotions, trying to protect us, trying to make sure that we are okay. They don't always tell us the truth. They just tell us their perspective, their interpretation of reality, and then it's up to us to work with these emotions to clarify, is this a good message? Is it a message that actually comes from the past and is no longer applicable to what happens now? Is it a message that needs to get an answer? Is it a course correction that needs to be done? There are a lot of things that your emotions may be telling you. Now, one of those things about this step 3, the working with your emotions, is also changing the name. So let's say you have found that insecurity or anxiety or sadness is what you have been feeling. And then you are saying, well, okay, emotion, I can see that this is what you are feeling. This is what you are believing you're feeling. But what if you're actually just a little bit, let's say, from sadness to sorting out your thoughts, just getting a little introspective and figuring things out? And what if you're not angry, but you're just a little annoyed? Or what if you're not afraid or worried, you're just looking at the different outcomes with caution? Or what if you're not really rejected or feeling rejected, you feel just a little misunderstood? Now, what this does, changing the name, is changing the charge. It makes things so much more manageable if you tune down or, just reduce the volume of the emotional intensity by giving the emotion another frame, another way of looking at the situation. And the emotion often really follows exactly that suggestion on whatever you want to name it differently. So that is only, one step of working with the emotion. The next step is simply asking yourself, well, is this emotion telling me the truth? Is it really true that my brother Bill is better than me? Is it really true that my relatives are in imminent danger? Is it really true that I will never be able to get everything done that I need to get done? Well, usually you would say, no, I don't know this because I don't have the magic 8-ball. And the one I have is bought in a $1 store and it lies all the time. So it's not really that I know that this is the truth. How can I respond to the emotion is a second question. What choices do I have? Do I roll over and give in? Do I run away from it? Or do I see the emotion as a question that I want to answer? Or do I see the emotion as simply a sign that there needs to be a course correction? Maybe I put too much on this to-do list, so that's why I feel overwhelmed. Maybe I do think too highly of Bill or assume too much that he thinks badly about myself. Maybe I do watch too much the news and I get always bombarded with all this negative messaging that I do worry too much about the what ifs and don't really live so much in the what is. whatever it is, you can choose. How do I want to respond to the message of my emotion? And the next step is then, how do I want to feel instead? What is it, what I really want to experience in this moment? When I experience compassion from my brother, who never really got out of the family business because he always was too afraid to do something different, but I was willing to move away and I was willing to follow my own path. So that could turn your feeling smaller into actually feeling compassionate and feeling proud of yourself. Do I want to have trust and faith into my family and maybe in a higher power that they're going to be okay even though there is a storm? Do I want to simply find more peace in the moment and find more a sense of unconditional acceptance and not always define myself by the length of my to-do lists? All of those things are ways for you to say, I want to feel that. I want to feel peace. I want to feel compassion. I want to feel trust. And that is something I want to gravitate to. So you see, the emotion originated maybe from that imbalance that you felt. Maybe it originated also from something that, you just were not on the right track. And so the emotion told you, this is what you need to change in your thinking, or this is what you need to change in your life's approach. Then you're going to feel more balanced. So it's not per se telling you the truth. It just tells you, pay attention. Now, sometimes the emotions do distort reality, and we know this, all of us. You have been ridiculed as a child because you blushed when you had to recite a poem, and every time you're now at work having to present something, you're afraid that you're going to blush and everyone's going to laugh at you. That brings up a lot of insecurity and stress. Or maybe you do feel like, my parents always rejected me or neglected me. They were always too busy. No one ever played with me. And now my own children, the teenagers, never really want to hang out with me. They always want to just play with their friends. Same feeling of neglect, same feeling of rejection. These are all feelings that come from beliefs, from traumas, from emotional patterning of the past. And those emotions that originate in those old triggers, they need some healing. That part of your emotional body is still wounded. And that part of your emotional body needs a little attention for those wounds to heal and for this body to grow out of those childhood ways of thinking about yourself or those childhood ways of thinking about life. Because a lot of our emotions are not originating in the present moment. They really do come from whatever we were told or whatever we were seeing the world as when we were much younger. So that's something we all have a responsibility to work with, so that our emotional body gets stronger, that we have more resilience. And that's like an emotional healing process. But then there is also an emotional workout process that we could every day engage in. One workout, of course, is meditation, because it just gets your emotions down onto a nice zero level or the calm place you were before the meditation, maybe swirling around, and then boom. Take some time. The more you meditate, the more often you do, the easier it gets just to calm down. So that's part of emotional mastery, because you are able then to control or reduce the intensity of what you feel just through the breath or a mantra or whatever you use. Now, another way of an emotional workout is practicing emotional flexibility. See, I see emotions and the emotional body also like an instrument. You can play with different keys or different strings on that instrument. Now, we don't really use that beautiful tool or this beautiful instrument often enough. And for that, you could just close your eyes and pick 3 emotions. Let's say you pick excitement, you pick curiosity, and then maybe satisfaction. So these are very positive emotions. And then you just think about certain times in the past where you felt those. And as you go back in the past and touch in with those emotions and you feel them in your body and you really immerse yourself in them, you have just pushed that key or pressed that that button that in that moment makes you realize, oh, I actually like that sound. I like that feeling. And then it's much more available to you. And then you can do the same thing by shifting from that emotion into a negative emotion. So you're going into, let's say, anxiety. Just immerse yourself in the anxiety. Feel it. Don't run away from it. Just play that string, that key. And then after a few moments, say, okay, now I'm shifting back to peacefulness. Now I'm going to a place where I was somewhere in Egypt in a temple or in a church, and that felt so relaxing, and your emotions go there. And this is where you can stretch your emotion like you would stretch your body in a yoga exercise. This is when you see, I can actually be the master of my emotions because I can play my emotions. I can play with my emotions. And as you become more and more masterful, you can design in the moment, in the beginning of the day. How do I want to feel right now? What's the emotion? What's the music I want to hear in the background?